Entrepreneurs, when we prepare their business plan, they need to address many areas in their new ventures. We have seen that the components of the business plan would include the new technology, the market, the industry, the go-to-market strategy, and so on. One essential feature of the business plan is the operation plan. It will be, of course, very crucial in case the entrepreneur is creating a new product. So the startup is a manufacturing startup. But even in other circumstances, even in the service industry, operations play a very crucial, a very important role. So let me ask you this. What all these businesses do they have in common? We see a bank, financial institution, we see a manufacturing company, a car maker, we see a hospitality company, restaurant, hotel, we see a fashion boutique. So all of them are completely different in terms of industry, in terms of market they serve, and so on. But we do have something in common. And what all these businesses have in common is they are all based on operations. What we see here are all operations. So what are the operations in the business? And how can an entrepreneur define the operation for his business? Without further ado, let's dig deeper into operations in this video lecture. Let me introduce operation first. Operations are easy to observe. Every business you encounter every day, we do have operations. Restaurants have operations, coffee shop have operation, university has operations. So if you think of all the activities that you do in the morning, from commuting to coming to the class and so on, all of them are based and enabled by operations. And so the best way to define operations, and this is to avoid that we have like very niche definition that might not fit all the type of businesses that are using operation. So the best way to define it is operation are a transformation process. Operations take some inputs, and throughout the transformation process, they will become outputs. So let's see some examples. Typical case, operation using some raw materials, car manufacturing, all the different components, and then assemble the components together and finally deliver the output, which is a car. But we can apply this to many other businesses. And we just need to put ourselves in the perspective to analyze the business process as a transformation process. So we can include among the inputs, for instance, information or clients, people. What are the operations of a hospital? What is the transformation process of a hospital? Well, a hospital is transforming people. Sick people coming to the hospital, being transformed in the hospital, and then cure people, healthy people going out from the hospital. Hopefully, because there are also some people who will pass away. So this is not the intended transformation that the hospital would like to achieve. But humor aside, we can define the operations of a hospital also as a transformation process, transforming people. So let's take a deeper look at this concept of transformation process. Among our inputs, we can include raw materials, we can include information, we can include clients, people, we can include capital. And we have different transformation processes. We have a physical transformation, we have a transfer of property, we have a change of location, and then we have a stocking of items, stocking of inputs, even people when inputs are people. So let's take a look at the example for each of them. So raw materials, for example, physical transformation, manufacturing, die casting, starting from metals. Transfer property in retail, change of location can be done through shipping, messenger, and so on. The stock of the products through a warehouse. The case of the people, of the clients. Physical transformation, the hospital. The change of location would be air carrier. Stocking people, well, this is the case of a hotel. The hotel is a warehouse for people. Capital, physical transformation, asset management. Transfer property is brokerage. The change of location of a capital will be the money transfer. And the stock of capital is a bank. And we can also apply this to information. Accounting is an example of physical transformation of information. Accountants will take the information from invoices and then they recreate the financial statement, balance sheet of the organization. Transfer property, that could be a market research. The change of location, telecommunication, or the stock of item, which is university business, like a library. So we have seen that among the inputs, we have people, we have what we can define like raw materials, we have information, we have capital. But how about the output? So generally, the output will be two different types of output. So one output is product, tangible product. The other output is services. So this seems like an easy differentiation, right, between a product and services. However, things are not always that easy to differentiate, especially now. So this is a matrix, the product service matrix that can help us identify when the output is a product and when the output is a service. In considering some circumstances, this line is really blurry, it's really difficult to identify. For example, software. Originally, software was sold on a CD-ROM, so the software was clearly a product. But that's not the case any longer, so now most of software will be sold as a subscription, the typical business model of a software as a service, and so the software became a service. So this is something that needs to be carefully considered. So whether the entrepreneur, throughout the transformation process, will create a product, will create a service, or will create something in between, something that is a mixture of a product and a service, combining characteristics of both of them. Let's now take a further analysis of operations management, because the entrepreneur will also need to set up the operation management of a new venture. Operation management can be classified into two different levels. So the higher tier level, which is the strategic level. Strategic level will happen in a long time horizon, will be intertwined with the strategy of a new venture, and essentially the strategic level will define the operational system of a company. And then we have the operational level. This is a more on the short, medium time frame. So this is more about like the daily, weekly, monthly activity that operation are tasks that they need to perform. So this will be more about managing this transformation process. Let's take a look at an example. Operations in the context of a supermarket. So the strategic level in a supermarket will consist primarily of planning the supply chain, planning new technology that can be adopted in the supermarket, for example, automatic cashier, planning about the new opening, new supermarket, where should it be located, how big, and so on. Change the layout. The more automation you bring into the supermarket, the more you need to adapt and change the layout. Competitive advantage, how the operation contribute to the competitive advantage of your supermarket. Operational level, well, here will be more of an issue of keeping the stock, that the products are in order, that the supermarket is clean, well maintained, the payment system, the overall service level, and so on. So this is just an example on how we can differentiate between strategic and operational level. And this will lead to one of the key framework of operation management, which is the operation management model. So the operation management model will be built upon this concept of a transformation process. So we find again our inputs that we bring into the transformation process, and then the output that we get out of a transformation process. So in the transformation process, what we are primarily doing from an operational perspective will be the design of the operations, the planning, control, and management of operations, and the improvement of the operations. However, there is also, as you can see in the slide, a positive feedback loop. A positive feedback loop means that the feedback coming from a client will be reflected on the operational roles. And the operational roles will also get feedback from our transformation process. So all this feedback coming from the market and coming from our own operation then will contribute to define and redesign whenever it's necessary the goals, the strategic goals of our operations, and then the operation strategy. So this is a positive feedback loop, because we have constantly feedback coming out of our operations, coming from our customer, and letting our strategy to adapt and to serve our markets and our operation better. And so now it's time to analyze the operation strategy. The operation strategy has four main dimensions. One is the operation resources, transformation process. What can our operation do? What can our operation achieve? The second one is the market perspective. What are the market needs? What does our market position require our operations to do? Are we positioned as a differentiator in the market? So we want to achieve high quality. So our operation need to reflect this position. Or are we a cost leader in the market? So we want to be very efficient when it comes to cost savings and be low priced. Again, the requirements for our operation would be different. The other two dimensions will be the top-down approach of a strategy. So what does our organization, the CEO, the executive level of a company want our operation to perform? And the opposite, which is what are daily activities that the operation achieve, what are daily activities that the operation suggests to improve. So we need to keep all these four dimensions together, tightly tied up together, because by doing this, we can continuously improve our operation strategy. So taking a look first at the top-down approach of a strategy and the bottom-up approach. So top-down, CEO to the organization, bottom-up is more from our factory floor or our staff giving suggestion and feedback on how to enhance the operations. So here we can see essentially what would be the different contribution coming from the top-down approach and the bottom-up approach. So the top-down is more of a strategic level. So the business we are in, companies that would like to take over, assets that we may want to sell, and so on. So this would be a typical example of a corporate strategy. And then the business strategy, so our vision, mission, positioning, marketing strategy, and so on. Operation should support both the corporate strategy and the business strategy. And then there is the emerging strategy, the one coming from the bottom of the organization. So this is more about the daily experiences, feedback from the clients, feedback from our employees, consensus in the organization on the type of strategy to adopt. We can categorize operations and how companies achieve the operation based on 4 different levels. So, ranking from the top to the lowest one. So, we will see that the operation that are giving really a competitive advantage to the organization will be the externally supported operation. So these are outstanding operations. The competitive advantage of the organization is in the operation. It's not in marketing, it's not in finance, it's in operations. An example of this could be Dell. The second one is internally supportive, meaning that the overall strategy of the organization, both the top-down and the bottom-up strategy of the organization, are completely matched with the operations strategy. So the operations are able to fulfill all the objectives set by the company. This is a case of internally supportive operations. An example could be Amazon. The third one is the externally neutral. Externally neutral means that we are not excelling in operations, but we are just adopting the best practices, the best standards in the industry, and we comply with the best strategies, the best standards in the industry. An example of this could be car maker like Fiat Chrysler. So we are not setting new standards, but we are complying with the best standards in the industry. And the final one, the lowest level of operations, will be internally neutral. So here, what we ask our operation is very simple. We just ask our operation not to hurt the organization, not to damage the organization. So we just tell the operation, please don't disrupt our business. We don't request anything more than this because we know that we don't have the capabilities to really perform excellent operations. So here, what we try to do is to limit the damage of operation. This is the internally neutral role of operations. So as you can see, this is mapped in this matrix. So the 2 dimension of the matrix will be the potential of the operation, which is on the horizontal axis, and on the vertical axis, the strategic impact of the operations. Moving now to the second 2 dimension of the operation strategy. So we have seen the top and bottom. Now we see the other 2 dimensions, which are strategic decision coming from our operational resources and strategic decision coming from market needs. So basically, strategic decision coming from operational resources will be linked to our own capability, our operation capability, our production or transformation process, and all our resources, tangible and intangible resources. Tangible equipment, assets, intangible intellectual property. And from a market perspective, so here we will include the customer needs, our marketing positioning, actions taken by competitors, and all of them will define the performances required by our operations. Let's examine first the operation strategy coming from market needs, so the performances required from our operations. To analyze this, we can use these 5 competitive dimensions: the quality advantage, the fastness advantage, the dependability advantage, the flexibility advantage, and the cost advantage. So what are these 5 dimensions? The quality advantage is essentially to make things in the right way. Fastness advantage is to make things quickly, which is different from dependability. Dependability is to make things on time, which does not mean that we are making this fast, but we make this on time. Definition, academic definition of dependability: expected delivery time minus expected delivery time minus effective delivery time. Flexibility advantage, which means to be able to change what you do, to be able to pivot, to be able to reshape, redesign your processes. And finally, cost advantage. Make things efficiently. How can we visualize these 5 competitive dimensions for operation strategy? We can use this spider chart. The spider chart, you will find all the 5 dimensions. And essentially, what we can do when we would like to analyze a company, we can select, what is the positioning of a company. So if the company is very fast, we can position the company here. If the company is like medium quality, we can position here. If the company is not so much flexible, we can position here. If the company is dependable, medium dependability, we can position here. Then the final one is about the cost. So if a company is very cost efficient, meaning able to reduce the cost, so it will be positioned in the higher part of this. Or if it's not efficient, it will be the lower part of it. So in this case, we imagine the company to be cost efficient, so we will put here. And then we can just link them together like this, and it can give us an idea on the positioning of a company. And generally, the way we use this type of spider chart is to compare and contrast with other companies. So this is company A, then we imagine that company B is somewhat different, right? And so then we can position company B on our spider chart, and this will be the contrast and comparison between the 2 companies. So we have a clear understanding of the 5 competitive dimensions of these 2 firms. A consequence of this is the trade-off of operation. So the trade-off will be between low cost and high quality. It's almost impossible to have both, so cost efficiency and high quality. The other one is high flexibility and fast delivery time, because high flexibility means generally that you have skilled personnel that can perform multiple functions, and consequently, it's more difficult also that this personnel will be very much trained and able to do things very fast. The same can also be explained from a more of a manufacturing perspective. So there are companies with more flexible assembly line. So in this case, they can change the assembly line depending on the type of product they are producing. But generally, the consequence will be these companies would not be as fast as other competitors that have only one assembly line configuration when it comes to the fastness competitive dimension. The other and final dimension that we need to analyze is from the operational resource perspective, and how operational resource perspective is impacting our strategic decision and operation strategy. So here we have 4 dimensions to consider. The first one is capacity. Capacity can be defined as the quantity of outputs per time unit. The second one is the network of our suppliers. All the companies supply our company. The third is process technology. So all the decisions related to equipment, machinery, processes, information technology, and so on. Final one is about the firm's governance and how we design and develop the operation. So this will be the development and organization dimension. So also in this case, I'm going to give you a few examples of these 4 dimensions. So capacity. What are some general issues related to capacity? So it could be our total capacity of the company, how many production sites we have, the goal of each production site, the location of a site, and so on. Then additionally, you can find in my slides some more granular examples about hotel chain and a car maker. General issues for a supply network is the integration. So whether we are integrating some of our suppliers or whether we are giving more to outsource. So we are giving more activities to be outsourced and done by our suppliers. And then of course, how we manage the network, how we manage the suppliers, how we select and acquire new suppliers. Process technology, some general issues would be related to the level of automation, Internet of Things, emerging technology that we would like to adopt in our organization, different type of processes, information technology adoption, labor cost trade-off versus automation, and so on. And finally, for development and organization dimension, general issues will relate to the governance, the role, the responsibility of people, managers, executives, the task, the process development, and also the new product development. To conclude on operation strategy resulting from operational resources perspective, we have also this framework, the operation strategy matrix. The operation strategy matrix can combine the 5 dimension coming from the market perspective. Required performances, which are quality, fastness, dependability, flexibility, and cost efficiency. And the 4 dimensions resulting from operational resources, which are capacity, supply networks, process technology, development, and organization. So how we can utilize these metrics. So for each of them, you see they will match each other. So we can match, for example, capacity with the quality, capacity with the fastness, capacity with dependability, capacity with flexibility, and so on. In some cases, there might not be a match. So in that case, we do not perform an analysis. But every time that we actually see a match between the operational resource perspective and the market need perspective, so then we can evaluate how important is that area. And we can assign a score, for example, 3 stars, which means key issues, very important, 2 star, which is crucial but not extremely important, and then 1 star that is less important. So to give you an example, we can, for instance, match capacity and quality. And in our case, let's say that capacity and quality are very important. And so we will give like 3 star in our analysis. The 2 implication of the operation strategy matrix is how we deploy resources and how we compete in the marketplace. If you want to play around with the operation strategy matrix, so you can apply this to 7-Eleven, which is a very popular business, not only in Thailand, but all across Asia Pacific, and specifically the information system of 7-Eleven, because 7-Eleven is powered by an extremely efficient information system that can communicate in real time about the stock level of each convenience store, so that convenience store can always be resupplied on time so that whenever you go to a 7-Eleven, you will find all the items in the 7-Eleven, considering that 7-Eleven is a small shop with limited SKU, but we never run out of items. So whenever you are looking for a product that you know that can be sold in 7-Eleven, you will find it. And the secret of this is the information system of 7-Eleven that in real time will inform all the operation when the stock level of a shop is about to decrease, and so that they can supply again that shop so as to ensure always an optimal stock level and service level in 7-Eleven. So as an exercise, as an application of this knowledge, I encourage you to try out the operation strategy matrix on 7-Eleven. To conclude on the video of today, so we have seen that operations are an essential component of a business plan, whether the business plan is for a new venture in manufacturing or whether the business plan is for a new venture in service. We have defined operation in a very broad and comprehensive way, which is operations are a transformation process. Also, we have examined the role of operation management, and finally we define the operation strategy, which consists of these 4 dimensions: the top-down approach, the bottom-up approach, and then how we can combine together the market need perspective, which are our five competitive dimension coming from our markets, and the operational resources, the internal capabilities of our organization, which will define the 4 dimension from operational side. And combining these 4 elements together, we are able to set and define the best operation strategy for our startup business. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I look forward to see you in the next video. Bye!